And you all will also receive this recording if you want to watch it again or still have questions. Due to the format of today's session, we are encouraging everyone to keep their questions until the end, where we will have a Q&A portion at the end of the presentation. But if you do have audio issues, please let us know, throw them in the chat box, and then we'll help you with those. So with that, I do want to welcome you all again to our conversations event featuring our street law clinic and our family law clinic. The goal of the session today is to have you all hear from some of our fabulous students who have already participated in one or more of our clinics here at Southwestern to give you a sense of what their experience was like. So now with that, I will turn it over to our street law clinic students, Alex and Anna.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity to speak about our street law clinic experience. So my name is Alex. I'm a traditional 2L student, and I participated in a street law clinic in fall 2021. And I absolutely loved my street law clinic experience, and I would do it again if I was able to every semester. So a brief intro into the street law clinic and how it's structured. So the clinic is broken down into two parts. The first part is class meetings with Professor Wesley, and the second part is the teaching experience at one of the facilities that you will get assigned to. So the weekly meetings with Professor Wesley, they were very informative and productive. We would discuss various teaching strategies and like activities, teaching topics, how to keep the classroom engaged, and et cetera. And as for the teaching experience, we worked in pairs, and my partner Anna, who's also here today, and we were assigned to the West Village Academy for Girls. And yeah, we absolutely loved the academy. We loved our students and the teachers there. The environment at the school is very warm and welcoming, and the students are very respectful, and the teachers were very nice and open-minded and accommodating. So due to COVID, we had to be ready to be flexible with pivoting to teaching on Zoom versus in person. However, most of the time we still got to teach in person and actually visit the school. And our class was pretty small. I'd say we had 15 people max. Anna, correct me if I'm wrong, but some of the days we would have like 5 people in the classroom and 2 people on Zoom. So that was a little bit hard to kind of like get used to, but once we did, it was a great experience. So then let me tell you about one of the challenges that I faced during my time at the clinic. So one of the biggest challenges for me personally was keeping the classroom engaged, because with our students, one week they would be super energized and eager to talk and like discuss certain topics, and another week they would just be like preoccupied with their projects that they're doing in their other classes, and they're just not really in the mood to participate at all. And sometimes it could also depend on the topic that we would be discussing in the classroom. So for example, criminal law is something that they were really interested in, and they would wanted to talk about it for 2 hours straight, versus lesson on financing and money management. The students were kind of reluctant to participate because they were like, we don't really care about it right now. Like it doesn't sound interesting. So kind of, like learning how to keep them engaged, even when, I'm sorry if you hear the background noise, it's my dogs. They're like having a good time here. But so like one of the problems is just keeping them engaged. And one thing that helped Anna and I is at the very beginning of each lesson, we would just take time to provide our students with like a brief and on-point explanation of why they need to know this information and why do they need to know this now and how it would help them later. And so once they get this insight into like why I should spend my time on it now and listen to what you're saying now and participate in the class. So if they know that it's going to help them later and they're going to be learning about all these resources and everything, they're going to be much more interested in learning about it. And lastly, I wanted to talk about the clinic success that I personally kind of carry with me. And I think that my our most successful moment was our education law lesson, where we talked about like the education rights, the college opportunities, the financial aid opportunities, and etc. And when it came down to the discussion of educational rights, it slowly shifted towards discussing the issues of gender inequality. And especially since we taught at the Academy for Girls and we only had girls in our class, they were very opinionated and they had so many wonderful opinions on gender inequality issues. And we quickly realized that this discussion does not fit within the scope of our lesson plan, but we didn't really want to discourage our students by just kind of cutting off the discussion and saying, no, yeah, we're not going to talk about it, even though you're really interested in it. And we're going to go back to discussion of like constitution and stuff. So instead, we kind of provided them with this opportunity that we can talk about women's rights during our very last class discussion, which would be our like open topic lesson. And yeah, they were just very interested in talking about women's rights. So they picked this topic for our last class and they prepared wonderful questions and various like points for discussions. And our last class was very interesting and productive. So yeah, that's one of the clinic successes that I think impacted our teaching experience. But yeah, that's pretty much my part of the introduction to the street law clinic. And I'm going to pass it on to Anna. As I mentioned, she was my partner in the street law clinic in fall 2021, and she's going to tell you guys a little bit more about how the clinic is structured. And I'm going to put my email in the chat. So if you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out and I'll be happy to talk more about the street law clinic experience. But yeah, thank you so much for your attention.
Okay, thank you, Alex. So as Alex said, she was my partner last year, and that means that basically we get to design lessons on different topics on a weekly basis to deliver on the Fridays that we go to the school to teach. Now, we were at New Village Girls Academy, but some of the other students in our class who were partnered up went to juvenile detention centers. So if, sharing education, spreading awareness about people's legal rights, working with juveniles, or any type of underprivileged community is interesting or up your alley and something you're looking to explore, then the Street Law Clinic really gives you an opportunity to go into communities where you can help people learn more about their rights. So in that, we learned a lot too about our own rights that we didn't even know. So each week, they do a different lesson. You're not covering criminal law multiple weeks, but we covered, criminal law, employment law, education, consumer law, really anything that you need to know to be a prepared citizen in our society. We try to just give them a brief introduction. Another thing that I thought was really cool about the Street Law Clinic is on top of all the work that you get to do and have fun designing the lesson, coming up with activities, you can also, at the end of the clinic, create a resource binder. Our resource binder was about, it's kind of hard to see, but this thick. And it just had basically any resource that we drew from in our lesson. We would print it out and put it in this binder and have, the Southwestern Street Law Clinic cover page, so it's official. And then at the end of the semester, we get to give this out to the students and they can take it with them so that they can have these resources and they know, oh, my professor talked about this at one point, or my teacher. Let me look in that notebook to see if I have something relating to that. So that's one of the things that I thought was really cool. And also you get to give them certificates at the end, and they just really loved that experience. So I think it's a unique aspect of the clinic experience at Southwestern, because they're not really like clients per se, but it's more of an educational and immersive experience. So if that's something that you're looking for, I think that the Street Law Clinic might be a great fit. And on top of that, you kind of learn how to be a team player, learn how to, handle different work assignments and balance your time while working with someone else, while you also have 10,000 other things to do for law school. So I think it's just a really holistic, but also it's an experience that's really guided also. So you don't have to feel like you're out there by yourself, but it's really rewarding. So I'll also put my email in the chat if anyone would like to reach out or has any questions. I'm happy to chat too.
And Anna, would you mind maybe giving us also another example, maybe a success that you had with your experience in the clinic?
Sure. So I think that one of the most challenging things that became a success was being able to describe these like high level legal concepts about our rights and, you know, the concept of invasion of privacy, where you have a reasonable expectation or where you don't. Trying to explain that to teenagers who are at varying age ranges and for the most part have an 8th grade reading level at the locations where we are teaching, it can be a little bit difficult. But when you do make that breakthrough, you can really see it on the student's face and they start to think about, oh, that makes a little bit more sense to me. So Alex was saying that one of the instances where that happened is we were talking about, you know, employment law, getting into consumer law, and it really came out that these women were very interested in women's rights. So we were able to take that need and kind of create a whole final lesson. And the final lesson is your choice. Whatever you think that the students need, you can ask them. We created a lesson about women's rights. And so that was a success because they had been asking about all of these topics, but we didn't really have the appropriate time to address them in the earlier lessons. So finally, when we were able to address them, you could tell that they felt like they really felt empowered. And that was just very rewarding to see because it was all from the information that they learned.
Thank you, Anna, and thank you also to Alex, who needed to jump off, but Q&A section will be at the end. The only other thing I would say, just as an observer of the students in the street law clinic, is that they're able to build these strong relationships with students. And also, as Anna mentioned, it teaches you a skill of being able to explain the law in a way that makes sense. So you will encounter, as you work with clients, you don't want to use legalese, I guess is the term. So this is also very helpful. Maybe you're not planning specifically to work with youth, but it is another skill that you build. As with any of the clinics that you will participate in, you won't necessarily end up in these fields, but you can gain the skills and that experience that will help you with anything that you do decide to do in the future. So with that, I will switch gears a little bit and turn our attention to our family law clinic. So Professor Rebecca Fisher was unable to join us today, but I'll do my best to provide as much information as I can. And then we will also be hosting an information session later this month where she may be able to answer a few more questions if I'm not able to answer them. So just as an overview, the Family Law Clinic is an off-campus clinic that works out of the Harriet Buhey Center for Family Law office. Their clinic provides pro bono advice, counsel representation to clients in a variety of family law matters. So this includes domestic violence survivors, custody cases, and child support matters. And in the Family Law Clinic, students have the opportunity to work on real cases, to learn different facets of interviewing clients, enhancing these interviewing skills, and just gaining some practical experience through case management and research. Just so you all know, there is a classroom component and also a clinic component. And students are required to have taken either family law procedure and practice, or community property. So again, more details about these requirements will be available during the info session, which we hope you can join us as well. But to help supplement some of the information that I'm able to provide, I will introduce Madison, who participated in the Family Law Clinic this past fall semester and who can give a more personal insight into this clinic. So Madison.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming today. As Heidi introduced, I'm Madison. I'm a traditional 3L student graduating in May. And I have to say, all of my time at Southwestern, the family law clinic was one of the better experiences. I think I gained so much practical experience, and especially if you want to go into family law, which I'm planning on doing, it's a must. You have to. I mean, I've been interviewing with firms and all they want to do is ask about my clinic experience and how that has helped me, um, you know, gain all of the necessary skills in order to take on your own clients, be able to go to the courthouse, and just be able to have the knowledge, because family law is very intricate and it's really hard for individuals. It's really easy to get married, right? It's really hard to get divorced most of the time. There's so many legal aspects when it comes to family law. But a little bit about the clinic itself. Like Heidi said, there's a class component and there's also clinic work. So the class meets once a week. It's 2 hours. Rebecca is really hands-on. She teaches you everything you need to know about family law and kind of she goes through each, child custody, divorce, spousal support, child support, all of the main categories that you really need to focus on. And also the classroom experience is really interactive. Like we get to go around and say what we've been working on this week, what hasn't been working for us, what's been challenging, what our successes are, and things like that. So, and I think our classroom size was maybe 10 people. So it's really small. And then our clinic experiences usually get a Harriet Buhai laptop. And I know last semester we weren't able to go into the office because of COVID-19, but hopefully this upcoming fall, students will be able to go into the office. It's literally 5 minutes from Southwestern, so it's really accessible. And so then you'll get a laptop and you actually get real clients, and you do a variety of things. You interview clients, you do a lot of court documents, you do a lot of drafting. You also do some legal research on, because family law, family law, is changing all the time. And so you have to keep up to date on it. And so you do a little bit of that. And I think you also do client intakes, which is really interesting because these are people that contact Harriet Buhai Center saying, I need help, with a divorce, or I need help with child custody, or I'm trying to move away, or domestic violence cases. So you get the opportunity to be the first point of contact with that client and see, all right, can Harriet Buhai help you? Can we offer the services that you need? Or, maybe we need to, give you referrals to other firms that can help you better. So I think that's one of the really good practical aspects of this clinic, is because you are, it's like you have your own law firm and your own clients. So you're the ones, contacting the client, asking them all these important questions, and then you talk to your supervising attorney, and then they kind of discuss it with you and tell you, well, this is kind of a problem, this is not really an issue, or this is a major issue. And then you call the client back and you kind of discuss it as if, you're recommending, next steps. So I think that's really important. Especially because, that's what attorneys do all day. You manage client cases and you have to be able to speak with clients. And, it really gives you the confidence, I think, that you need with managing cases. So that's kind of the overview. And I think a client or a challenge that I face during the clinic is sometimes it's really difficult to get a hold of clients. So these clients are, underprivileged, and, they don't have the resources that a lot of us have. Like, it's crazy to think, but a lot of these clients don't have cell phones, or, don't have, emails. They don't have access to computers. So sometimes communication is really difficult. But we do everything in our power to help them. We tell them, you can go to the library, all of these other resources that we try to give to those clients. So I think that's a challenge. And I think that could also carry over to, working at, any firm. Sometimes clients just don't answer and they don't want to talk to you. And you have to, get things done and submit paperwork to the courts and things like that. So I think that was a really big challenge for me. And then a success is just being able to help people. When I did these client intakes, it was very interesting because, these clients are like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't even know what to submit to the court. Like, I've been calling all these places. No one's getting back to me. Like, I don't know, is like this my separate property, or is this community property? Or, can I just move away whenever I want with the kids? And so I think just helping people when they're really, it's not a good time in their life. And I think helping them guide them out of such a terrible time is really rewarding. And also with domestic violence victims, it's that can also be a big challenge, because sometimes, you can't call a client because, their partner or whatever is sitting next to them and they have no idea that, they're going through this process of trying to leave this situation. So I think it's just really rewarding to help people in those situations and, help them see the light at the end of the tunnel. So, and then what else? Oh, just my final thoughts are, I really enjoyed this clinic. Rebecca is so great to work with. You could call her, you could email her, and she will, get back to you so fast. And you can ask her the stupidest question and she will answer it and act like that was the best question in the entire world. So she's really hands-on. And I think if you want to go into family law, this is just the best experience. And it's actually been it's been almost more helpful than my past externships, because it is so close-knit and hands-on. And I thought it was amazing opportunity. Everyone needs to do a clinic, whether it's a street law clinic or family law clinic. I just love the amazing work. So yeah. And if you have any questions, you can always email me. I'll put my email in the chat too.
Thank you, Madison. And if I could just have you, if you can think about maybe a specific client case that stands out that maybe you provide as an example when you go to interview.
Yes. So there was a few client cases. I think it also gives you the emotional intelligence when you do call with these clients, because sometimes they're really mad. Like, sometimes you have to tell them, if you want a divorce, you have to either, you have to divide up all your property. You don't just get to keep everything. And so I think that's a challenge. And then also too, we had this one case where this elderly man, so sweet, his wife no longer wanted to be with him. I think he was maybe like 70, 75, and he had no idea what to do. She just kind of was like, I don't want to be with you anymore, and that's it, and I'm leaving, and I'm taking all of this stuff. And he was really heartbroken about it, and it was really sad, because I think it kind of came left field from him. And so being able to also kind of be an unlicensed therapist in a way where you know, tell them like, it's going to be okay. We're going to work this out. Like, we'll help you submit all the paperwork, and, you know, we'll try to make this as painless, you know, pain-free as possible. So you get to work with, you know, a lot of clients like that who are elderly, and, you know, they don't have an email. They don't know what to do. They've probably never been to a courthouse. So another case also would be, we've dealt with a lot of domestic violence cases where there's children involved. And so you kind of have to be on high alert and, you know when to call them, when to not call them. And, you know, they usually give us times or tell us like, use this phone number or don't use this phone number. And you kind of have to be discreet when you're talking to them on the phone. And you also have to understand, like, if they hang up, like, it's for a good reason. It's not because they don't want to talk to you anymore. So I think those are, I mean, you just get clients from all across the spectrum. So.
Okay, thank you, Madison. And again, what you'll continue hearing about all the different clinics is just the practical experience that you gain from it, but also the support. So we have very supportive professors that walk you through the process, but also make you feel empowered that these are your cases. And you get this experience that not a lot of students get in law school. So just another plug for our clinics. So thank you to our student speakers. And now I will turn it over to you all and invite you to ask any questions that you might have just about these experiences. So feel free to drop them in the chat box, or you can also use the raise your hand feature. Do we have any questions? Oh, so I think Madison has a comment in the chat box. So to confirm family law clinic, we must have taken community property or the family law course mentioned. So yes, family law is one of the clinics that has a prerequisite. So if you look at the family law application on the website, it'll tell you exactly which ones you should take before participating. And there are also recommended courses that can be taken at the same time. But Madison, correct me if I'm wrong on that.
No, yeah, you're right. I actually took family law and community property before I took the family law clinic, and I found it really helpful. But also, I'm now currently taking the family law practice and procedure, and I love that course. And I think I would actually have taken that course over the just family law course if that was like a prerequisite. But all the courses are good. And I mean, I think it's necessary to take those courses because you have to have that foundation instead of just walking into the clinic, because, you know, when you do take the clinic, you're kind of just handed a laptop and, you know, you're guided a little bit, but it's more of like okay, you know, the threshold of, you know, what's going on.
And the second question was, where do you find the application? So if you log on to the My Southwestern portal, I feel like we don't use it hardly enough, but you'll find a sample application and the family law application. I think we have the outdated one at the moment, but if you want to take a look at that one just to see what the requirements are, you can go ahead and do that. So officially, we'll be opening up the application process after our clinic information session on the 31st of the month. So any other questions for our speakers? So something I would also want you both to speak on, and I don't know who wants to go first, but I know a lot of the hesitation from students participating sometimes is whether they'll have enough time and how you do it all. So imagine balancing home life, work. A lot of people work part-time or full-time, having class. Like, how do you do to balance all of this and then also be successful in the clinic?
So I can go first if that's okay, Madison. For the street law clinic, you can kind of get into a flow of things. Sorry, my dog is also having fun back there. So sorry if you hear the noise. You can kind of get into a flow, and because you have a partner, your work product is exclusively like between you and your partner, and then you present it on the day that you go to class. It's due usually about a week beforehand before you present the lesson, but it's consistent deadlines and everyone has their project due at the same time. So you can really work on it and split it up between you and your partner however you like. Altogether, maybe one lesson took us between an hour to 2 hours to craft. And once you have a template, you can kind of start filling it in more quickly. So it's really like you just have to find a flow. And that's how it was for street law clinic, where you can maybe have about 2 hours of class a week, 2 hours where you're teaching in person, and then maybe 2 hours where you're drafting your lesson plan. So if you find a way to split that up with your partner, it's very manageable.
And I would say, I mean, to just put it into perspective, I was over fall, I was clerking 2 days a week for a family law judge and doing the clinic and taking probably like 12 units. So it's definitely doable. I think that if you're really good at managing time, clinics are a really good experience for you. I would say probably during the week, it's like the 2 hours in class, and then I would put aside maybe, I think actually for the family law clinic, you have to do 12 hours a week or something like that. I know that there's like a minimum where you have to do, which is really doable, I think. So I'm not sure, Heidi, like the exact requirements, but I think it's like 10 or 12 hours a week. So something like that. But yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right. And I think each of the clinics has their different required hours, which is also why I'm fuzzy on the exact number. But from what I've heard about students, at the beginning, they don't know how to fill the time. But then once the semester kind of starts moving along, you start finding that you're doing even more hours, especially because you're following up with clients, and you become really invested in the cases from what I've seen. So we'll see what the clinics look like in the fall, but we're always excited just to kind of watch the progression of students at the beginning and then at the end of the semester to see what you all have learned. Okay, but I'm not seeing any other questions. I will give it a few more seconds in case anyone does come up with anything. But Anna, Madison, any maybe last thoughts as we kind of reflect on the clinic experience?
If you're on the edge, just apply and see, you can talk to the people in the clinic or who have participated, the professor, but just try to put yourself out there. It's a really unique opportunity that Southwestern offers in all these different areas. So if you're thinking about doing it, try to just apply, and then you can decide later if you want to, but put yourself out there.
I totally agree. And also, a lot of law schools don't offer clinic work. It's crazy. Like, I think Loyola doesn't do clinics. I think, or maybe they have like one entertainment law clinic. So I would definitely apply, and it's just a great opportunity. And also, it's a good GPA booster if people, want to, because it's a 5 credit. I don't know, actually, is it a 5 credit for all the clinics?
So I think street law is the only one that is a 3-unit course, but all the rest are 5 units.
Okay, so if you take a 5-unit class and get an A, that's a great GPA booster. So just keeping that in mind.
So thank you again to both our student speakers, and apologies for our professors that weren't able to attend this session. But with that, we are going to close the program. I do want to remind everyone that we have one more of these clinic conversations with our immigration law clinic later this month, March 17th. And we have our clinic information session, again, where all the clinics come together. We discuss the requirements to participate and we formally open up the application. And just as a quick reminder, on the application, you are able to rank the different clinics. So if you are interested in more than one, you can apply to more than one clinic. But with that, we'll stay on for a few more minutes, but I do want to be mindful of everyone's time. But thank you so much for attending, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Hi, Carrie.
Hi, I just had a quick question in terms of, if you apply for the clinics and maybe you don't get your first choice or something like that, how sort of translatable is the experience between clinics to the things that like maybe you'll want to be doing? It seems like, if you're going out and engaging in the work, then that is going to sort of reflect across, your experience. That's something that you can say to anywhere that you would apply that you've done. But in terms of, if it's not the precise area that you're thinking maybe that you want to go into, is that something that you still recommend people pursue and doing this experience to get it? Or I just was wondering what your thoughts were on that.
So Anna, I'm going to pass this to you because Anna is actually participating in another clinic this semester. So I think she can maybe best speak to participating in one or more, or just the differences.
So originally I had only applied for the street law clinic, and I received a notification that second semester I was invited to the community lawyering clinic, which I had put on my application, but I wasn't specifically catering it towards that. And so when I heard that I was accepted, I thought, oh, okay, well, what's this about? And it's quite different than the street law clinic. It's more focused on immigration issues. And I really had no exposure to immigration law before and don't really plan to practice in that area, but I'm still learning a lot about building client competencies, professionalism, and also just, the simple rules of court or just policies and procedures that our county and our state abide by. It can just give you an introduction to the practical level. So even if it's a subject area that maybe you're not as interested in, there will still be a value that you can get out of the experience professionally. So yeah.
Thank you.
Oh,
sorry.
I was just going to say the ranking of the clinics also lends to that as well, so that in the personal statement, you can also provide sort of a description of which ones you're maybe more passionate about. But it takes that in mind, right? That you're applying to these clinics. You don't have to apply to all of them, but some students do rank all of them. And the professors kind of talk amongst each other as well, just to make sure that all students get an opportunity to participate in at least one clinic. So just something else to kind of keep in mind.
I have a question also in terms of like the type of experience as opposed to the area. So I'm particularly interested in policy advocacy. And so, for being able to kind of gather those skills, we don't have a clinic obviously specific to that, but is there one that you could maybe recommend that would be a little bit more sort of applicable to that area? Again, sort of the type of experience as opposed to, I would do that in any area if that were to garner the type of experience that I needed to be able to, put that forward.
I was going to wait to see if either student had any feedback. My recommendation would maybe be community lawyering clinic. Professor Vasquez does a really good job in focusing on both micro and macro issues when it comes to just different law topics. So the community lawyering clinic is also nice in that they kind of pick up whatever comes in the door, right? So if a client, a current CSUN student has housing issues, has, just any sorts of issues, they kind of look at it holistically and offer referrals in all these different areas. So Professor Vasquez is also learning with the students as they go, like what organizations are out in the community, what is available to this client. So I think with what you're describing and just knowing Professor Vasquez in her policy work, just apart from what she does in the community learning clinic, I think that would be a good start, and maybe reaching out to her and asking for her recommendations. And I think that conversation might also lead you in the right direction. But that was just my initial thought when you said policy.
Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody's time and all your experience and everything. Thank you.
Welcome.